Our guest today is one of the greatest hard enduro riders of all time, and remarkably, he's still only 26 years old. In 2023, he completed the first ever perfect season in the FIM Hard Enduro World Championship, winning all 6 races to his way to the overall title. He's also a 3-time Red Bull ErzbergRodeo winner, and to be honest, the list goes on and on. We can't fit it all in here, that's for sure. He's also an absolutely mean downhill mountain bike rider. Listeners will know that I'm very excited to welcome Manny Lettenbichler to Just Ride. How are you, Manny?
Pretty good.
And as I just said there in the title, you are, if not the greatest hard enduro rider of all time, the hardest sport for the hardest men on earth.
Oh my God, that was way too much already.
I wanted to ask you just how this cushion is that you requested. This chair wasn't quite comfy enough for him, so we got him a cushion. You're all comfy.
Man, you just have to be clever, man. That's the most important thing.
No, he's good. That's like the bike setup coming in. He's like, everything has to be right.
Sofa seat.
Yeah, I would have been sick to have like proper fucking couch seats. That would be like really nice, but nah.
We'll
Definitely
next time.
Next time. Nah, it's pretty cool to be part of the Just Ride podcast. Quite stoked to sit with you guys here.
Well, great to have you in here, mate. And I mean, you've just had that 3rd Red Bull ErzbergRodeo win.
Yeah.
Have they been on the bounce then?
More or less, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's been pretty hectic, man. So we went like straight from Red Bull ErzbergRodeo to Leergang, watched the UCI World Cup, and raced also a little bit on the side on the e-bikes. But
oh man, I know. I can't wait to talk to you about that.
but no, it was a good 2 weeks, I would say. Good 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So Manny, this is like a cycling podcast, and I don't know much about it, nearly as much as you two. Can you explain simply like what is hard enduro?
Man, I think to really explain like pretty much the easiest way is like you ride your motorbike through the gnarliest terrain on earth, I think that's like probably the easiest thing. We go uphill, we go downhill, we go through riverbeds, we go through like big rock sections, like over logs, like over rocks, and I think that's pretty much it. And we try to find the gnarliest stuff because there's also normal enduro out there, but we are the hard enduro crew, so we definitely ride some hard shit. But it's definitely really a cool sport and like some good people in there, and absolutely loving it right now.
And how long do the races last?
Depends. We have like every race is different, which is a little bit like, I think for the outside, sometimes like hard to understand. But I think for us as racers is so cool because we never have to do the same program.
Right.
In motocross, they come to the race, they do like 2 30-minute moto races. Right. They have like his overall results and they go back home. And our races are always different. So we are having like Red Bull Erzberg for example. It's like a 3 or like a 4 hours event. Hardest race ever.
Not to him.
Not to him.
How long did it take you, Manny?
2 hours 50 this year.
Most. Let's just say that. How many people finished this year? It wasn't
right.
many.
That is the thing because like it is not everyone finishes, right?
Yes.
Not many finished.
Wow.
Not everyone. Was it 8 this year or something?
9th this year.
9 only. And how many people turn up at ErzbergRodeo? Like 10,000. Like it's
Wow.
insane.
It's
At the start of the week.
It is unreal. Yeah, you like from the prologue. There's so many riders, and then the top 500 goes into the final.
Yeah, 500, 9 finishes.
Wait, so I want to get into this. So explain why the Red Bull ErzbergRodeo is like. Is it the biggest hard enduro race?
I think it is the biggest hard enduro race because it is good on coverage. It is like so media-wise, like probably the biggest event. It is one of the gnarliest races out there.
Yeah.
I think from my point of view,
it's still
probably not the hardest race for the body and like for the mental side, I think, as a rider. But I think it's just so much going on, Like from my point of view, if you explain what hard enduro is sometimes, you say to people, I became hard enduro world champ last year, and they were like, what is it, motocross or enduro or off-road, or what is it exactly? And you say, have you seen this crazy race in Austria, Red Bull ErzbergRodeo? And people are like, what is going on, man? Like, are you doing this? And I said, yes, exactly this.
Yeah, because it's like, it's in this quarry, like you're riding up
pyramid, isn't it?
Yes.
Maddest place.
So even if you're in South America or somewhere in Asia or whatever, like people know about this race.
Yeah.
So I think that's why it is the biggest race off the calendar. But there's some harder races for sure. We have like I said, this race, more or less the time limit is 4 hours for one race. We go from from the start to the finish, but then we have like races which are more or less like 5 days, where we go every day from like 6 to 8 hours on the bike. And this is hard, like Red Bull Romaniacs, you have to wake up at like 3:30 in the morning.
What?
Eat breakfast.
What?
It wouldn't be the program for Rob, I guess.
How can you eat at 3:30 in the morning?
You just try to get some carbs in as hard as possible. But you race there for like 4 days, and I think, for example, this on the body is like pretty hard. So yeah, it's not the hardest race from like the fitness wise, but it is one of the biggest races of the season. Yeah.
And I thought it would be interesting, actually. Like, there's so many, as there is in cycling, like there's so many disciplines in motocross. And like, Rob, you had a trials background, and that's kind of like on one end, and maybe like the motocross super structured is on the other end.
Yes.
It seems like the hard enduro has bits and pieces of everything. Like hard enduro, you have to, do hops, and like you're going through riverbeds.
I mean, for people that don't know what motorcycle trials is, it's the most grassroots off-road motorcycle sport, right? I would say you do it as early age as a kid, and it really teaches you how to ride a motorcycle at low speed. And I imagine, Manny, that the way you ride a dirt bike now, an enduro bike now, you came through from trials. You must have done.
Exactly. I came through trials. Like my dad used to be one of like the best German trials riders as well.
His dad's also won the ErzbergRodeo.
Yeah, also won the ErzbergRodeo.
We better get that in there, or we're going to be in big trouble.
Yeah. Nah, also a legend. Also a legend of the sport.
Yeah. A little bit of pressure.
Yes. If people ask me, and how did he end up there? And I said, of my dad, man, it's pretty easy.
Do you know one of the wildest things I've seen is when I was at Erzberg, probably 2 years ago, and it was so hot, right? And I was hosting. And I did the start, and then I hung around all day in the shade, and then you came and I waited for you at the finish area, and I interviewed you. You rode up onto the podium, and actually, just before I interviewed you, you took your helmet off. Man. You were going. Your legs were going. Yeah. You were pale. You leant over your bike. You vomited everywhere, right? Yeah, and I was like looking at him like with my jaw on the floor, and I look at his dad, and his dad just goes, "Manny!" Didn't come up, give you a hug. He just threw you a bottle of water. And just carried on chatting. And just carried on chatting to his mates. And I was stood there. And I didn't really know what to do. I thought you were going to collapse, actually.
Yes, man. That was
a tough one. And that actually demonstrated right there just how hard that 2 hours, but how hard that is, how intense Erzberg is.
Yes, it is. Like you said, Eliot, that we are more or less just now also racing motocross pace, Like I came from trials, and I have this like trials background where I'm like having all these like technical skills, but more than that, I think for myself as a rider now, I am probably on such a high because I am also trying to go motocross pace in those races,
Right.
And you are.
Yes, and
You are.
I am, but it is. I think that is now the most important thing, that the sport also like increases and gets like better. Every rider gets better. Every rider gets fitter, and you see it in mountain bike, but you see it also in different sports and in our sport as well.
Yeah,
you're right. And the way you say it, mountain biking, hard enduro, those margins between the riders, as everyone gets fitter, all the bikes are better. They should be tighter than ever. Yet you are dominating. Like I don't think I've ever seen anyone dominate outdoor hard enduro. And actually, at Erzberg, I mean, you rode 18 minutes, was it the win?
I think so.
Something like that.
Probably 20 or something like this.
Bolts told me, and I saw it on the highlights package, there's a climb that looks impossible. Towards the end, right, somewhere near Motor X Highway,
yes,
and you
afterwards.
smoke it. You're like, rah, 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 and that bike is up there. When you come down, you look at Bolts and say, I have never ridden better. And I was like, you haven't, mate. And the confidence and the joy coming out of you.
I think everything just clicks, Like you're at one high more or less. Last year I won every race, Like I had so much pressure at the end of the season. I was like really like freaking out more or less.
Deliver a perfect season.
I delivered a perfect season, and it's been history also made, And I think we've never seen something like this. But then you come into a new season this year, and you're like, okay, what do we want to try this year? Like, what's the goal here? Like, where you want to focus on? And I think it's pretty hard to like really like keep on doing it. And then I just won the first race, and then you come to Erzberg, and everybody's anyways more or less expecting you
Yep.
to win.
They are now. That's for sure.
Yes,
Yeah.
but I think it's sometimes just not easy to deal with it as well. But
Do you struggle sometimes? Because you're always very fun, very approachable, massively as part of you. You know, even right on the start line before a race, but it's different inside your head, isn't it?
it is different time in your head, man.
Is it?
Sure, like I think I'm trying to enjoy it as much as possible, but from my point of view, at the beginning of the season, I just wrote down some facts where I'm like, okay, where I want to focus, where I want to be in my career. I shouldn't be like sad about it if I'm not gonna win anymore, you know. Like I think one day is coming where one rider is gonna beat me, you know. And right now, I hope it's not gonna come soon. Would be pretty sick to like keep on doing history, you know.
Yeah,
but
Manny, that is interesting. Like we had Rachel Atherton, and she had a perfect season, and it would be interesting for you to just talk about that a little bit, because we see it in certain sports, like in motocross, we had Ricky and James and Jet.
now.
How does your mind go throughout the season? Like you win the first one, you're like, okay, and then maybe like halfway through, you're kind of like, I haven't lost yet.
Yeah.
So what comes into your mind that wouldn't be there normally as you kind of start to approach the end of the season?
I think you always go race by race, you know, and I think our championship also doesn't have like in motocross like 22 races in a row, you know. It's like 6 or 7 or 8 races, and you go from race to race, and every race is so different, and so many things can happen, and you're like midway through the season, and you're like, "Wow, I'm still winning," you know. I'm like still more or less on the top, man, and maybe we can do it and really until the very end, you know. And last year I won the World Championship one race before the last round in Spain, which was already unreal. And then we went to my home race, like Lettenbichler, and it is wild up there.
I was there.
Yeah, Rob
so
was
good.
there. Yeah.
So good.
It is just wild. Like there's 15,000 people like standing there next to the track, just cheer for you, and you go there anyways. Home race pressure, I would say, you know. And you definitely also want to win the last one.
Yeah,
and then we made this, and I was just.
What did it feel like? Like, what was the thing that came into your mind first? Was it like, I did it, I'm relieved, like I made it? What?
I'm just a beast, man.
You were, though. You were. That last bit as well. Oh, my goodness.
I think you end up like having so much confidence, you know.
Yeah,
and,
sure.
It just builds up. Like you feel at one point you're not gonna lose anymore, you know.
Is
You're
that
like,
where you're at now?
I wouldn't say so, because I'm already like this now that the day is coming, and I'm really okay with it, you know.
Oh, yeah.
I think so.
It's nice to hear you say you want to keep making history. You're obviously aware of the records, and does that keep you motivated? Because there isn't much you haven't done at 26 years old. 3 Erzberg wins. Is it 5 for Taddy and Graham? I guess that's the target,
Yes,
for sure.
5 for Teddy and Graham. So we try definitely to keep on doing it and trying to be there at the top at ErzbergRodeo, but then in general also for our World Championship. But yeah, we will see where it goes. You know, I'm just trying to go race by race and have some fun out there and still have the positive vibes and the good energy. But sometimes there's definitely a lot of pressure from the outside and also from the goals where I want to end up. I don't really know right now. I'm just in the moment and like trying to enjoy it as much as possible. But like I already said, like this one day is coming and I'm totally okay with it. And I think that's the best thing ever, that I already said to myself, okay, I'm definitely want to be this racer, want to be super focused, want to win the next race, want to win the following race again. But yeah, one day is coming where maybe something goes wrong, and I think it's pretty cool for myself that I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna be sad,
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
That's an amazing mindset to have.
Yeah.
You're almost sort of readying yourself for it.
I'm ready for.
It's crazy.
It is. You have to keep progressing your mindset. I mean, so just so the viewers know, Rob, you've commentated Erzberg.
Yeah.
You've done the field reporting and things like that.
I've tackled a few sections with massive unsuccess.
I remember that.
What did you think? What did you think when you saw Rob
That was
ride?
so funny. Like,
Last year, they took me into a rock section, right? I got on this bike and someone bolts goes, blimey, that's a nice bike. It's got 50 mil K arbors on it or 48, the factory. And I was like, what is it? And it was like a brand new development factory gas 300 enduro bike. They just lent it me. They were like, take it. And I got in this rock section. I got stuck racing bolts on camera, and I held it flat out on this rock in bottom gear. And it gripped, and it absolutely
flip.
I've never.
What?
I
Looped up.
No, you did not.
It did a full upside down and landed upside down about 20 feet ahead.
It was.
Bolt said, "Don't rev them in the rocks." They do that.
Yeah,
I didn't know they did that. It's not like dirt, where you're on a trials bike.
Nah, mate.
Yeah, it was serious, and I had to take it back, and it was like the silent. The suspension.
Everyone was just bent, Like they went out before they like picked up the bike like behind our pits, and they were like, yeah, we're gonna go out riding. And I said, oh, that's gonna be funny, like him and Bolton just having a good laugh, two good English lads just riding some gnarliest terrain ever. And the footage, what it turned out, it was unreal funny, man. You just see Rob struggling everywhere, dying.
Okay, so that maybe this is a good one. So I want both of you to tell me your favorite Erzberg moment, and then also like a craziest moment.
Craziest moment. Favorite Erzberg moment was probably my first finishing. I was like 16 years old there.
That's right, 2014.
Youngest finisher. Right?
Youngest finisher.
Wow.
I was like 2014, and I remember just maybe like 20 minutes before the finish, just cramping up in the woods. Like me, 16-year-old kid, having the hardest time of my life just to survive with my body and trying to get into the finish. And I was like cramping up. I had to like stretch myself like next to the bike because I was just like, I'm probably not going to make it.
Yeah, sure.
But then like just to finish this, and then even my dad, I think, went on the podium this year as well, which was also pretty special.
That's crazy. You both in the race together.
Yes.
Yeah, overlapping.
So,
That's wild.
Did you ever overtake him?
I overtook him.
That would be great. That would be
man.
so. You just go past him, just look over.
How was that, Manny?
Man, that was so good. It was like a quali race. Back in the days, it was still Red Bull Sky in Turkey, and it was the first beach race, and I passed him. Like he was leading actually by this point.
No way.
And
just to make it even
Wait,
better.
you passed him for the lead?
I passed him for the lead in the last section before the finish. Like it was like a lap race, and maybe
No
like
way.
200 meters in front of the finish. Yeah?
What did he say to you after the finish?
He was just like, congrats, man.
And then it was a 7-hour drive. Total silence. No
total
one spoke.
silent. I think at this point he realized, okay, maybe it's time to step back and like focusing on. He did after this race, or like the following.
Because he was a professional hard enduro rider himself at this point, right?
He was a professional hard enduro at this point, and I think he was like, okay, my son is coming up, like I think maybe we're trying to focus a little bit on him and trying to like support him as good as possible.
But I think he probably gets as much enjoyment like to see your dad when you're out on the track at any hard enduro, and to see you come over the line. I mean, he is on the bike with you, and he absolutely adores it.
He absolutely loves it. I think for him is now the most enjoyable thing, like to come to the races and like work for me as like my race mechanic, and like just be still like really cool. So involved, but don't have like this race stress. And I think he's really enjoying it, and I hope he actually said if he's like 50, he's gonna go back and gonna do a race again.
No way.
And he's like turning 50 this year, end of the year. So we will see what's happening. But I think will be quite interesting because he still rides unreal good.
Yeah.
He's not riding a lot, but if we go riding, sometimes he just gets too excited. So he just hurts himself somewhere. He just had a huge crash, like in May at a hobby race.
Oh yeah, his shoulder or something.
Yes, he hurt his shoulder. He just went uphill. It was like a pipe section, and he went uphill and like looped it over the bars, man. He went over the bars uphill.
Which is
almost impossible, you know?
That's right. Like you got to take your hat off to that.
Yeah.
That is insane.
He always tells me if like I'm going to like mountain bike riding or whatever, he's like, please son, take it easy, take care about yourself. And
right.
now, like if he's doing like a hobby race,
You're like, hey, take it easy, Dad. Take it easy.
That, quite honestly.
Take it easy.
So
and he called me, and I said, and how was it? Man, I had a big sand. And I said, a good sand or a bad sand? He was like, pretty bad sand, man. So yeah, then I know exactly what is going on.
I
that's
said, how are you in
amazing.
Wales? And he was like, I think I put my arm around him.
Yeah.
He was like, it's pretty sore.
Easy.
It's so funny. Yeah.
Wait, so Rob, let's go to you next for your favorite moment, and then
Well, for me, just to go to the Erzberg,
yeah.
I entered it a few years ago when I was racing mountain bikes.
And
I
this
broke-
was not the loop out time.
No, years and years ago, I tried to get to Erzberg and ride it when I was a professional mountain bike racer, and I broke my leg training for it. So I never got there. So I got there as a commentator. And that was
I remember then. I remember then.
Yeah, and
It
that's
was
just
a
been,
long time ago.
Wow.
Yeah, that's right. It was a while ago. But I think I just love ErzbergRodeo, and probably the best one I remember, and I wasn't commentating on it, was watching the one where everyone had to get together, and your dad was one of them. Was it your dad, Gomez?
Yes.
And 3 riders were stuck at Grenna Hull,
Yeah.
and this part of the track was actually impossible. No one could do it. So 3 riders, right?
4.
4 riders. How long were they there, man? It was like the longest broadcast in history, and all 4 of them got together and literally
Teamed up.
up and
Really?
dragged each
Yes.
other's bikes up, and it was like mad to watch.
2015, almost.
15,
almost.
excuse me.
Yeah,
that's
almost.
right. It was so memorable, though. Yeah.
10 years ago, and yeah, it's been wild. It was like my dad, Johnny Walker, Alfredo Gomez, and Graham Jarvis,
Yeah.
where they really had to team up. And I remember I got disqualified this year because it was so hot, and I took
Yeah.
my helmet off a little bit.
And that's it.
Yeah, and
Oh,
that's
you
more or
can't
less
take
it.
your if you get.
I was
Oh.
like moving still. Like I had to stop fully to like really take it off. Then you're allowed, but I was like still moving a little bit. So they were like,
Hey,
okay.
there's a good reason for it, though. Dougie,
Yeah.
Remember when Dougie Lampkin did it 12 times, world trials champion? He was fried.
Yes.
Took his helmet off, like, rock bounces down, hits him on the head. He had to be airlifted out, nearly killed him. Yeah. Like,
Right.
it's,
Yeah, because you're out there.
It's a
you're
mad
out there,
environment,
yeah.
ErzbergRodeo.
It is.
It's like something off
Wow.
from another planet. It is a different thing. Yeah.
So Manny, craziest moment?
Oh, craziest moment. Good question. Huh? Last year, I think, was the first year where there was no track walk allowed. And before, you always were like pretty busy with like during the week, like just walking the track and like
Do you do
seeing
the
some
whole
things.
thing, or
Not the whole thing, but like
Yeah.
Karlstein, like the most important sections, let's say.
Yeah.
And last year they like didn't allow it, so we were like just in the
Interesting.
pits and had like really time to like enjoy this like festival vibe, which is like still going on the side as well. And we went up to the pits, and you know, like me and Billy Bold, we showed up there with a buggy. The guys went absolutely crazy, huh? Like I've never seen such a wild camping site than this
my
one.
God.
You know, like the best guys are like of the
the 2 dudes?
Yes, of the world. They just show up and then just like, man, you have to do a burnout there. You have to do this. You have to ride with this bike. Like, it was wild, you know. It was really wild. So
that's amazing.
I think this was like a pretty crazy like moment to really experience this like
Yeah.
festival Red Bull ErzbergRodeo vibe.
Oh, there's nothing like it.
Nah. Yeah.
There is nothing like it. None of the other hard enduros are quite like that, right? Like on
No.
that level of...
Not at all, because people are just coming from everywhere and like people have time to party there, you know.
Yeah,
so I
right,
think that is
right,
why.
right.
It's the minute you get in there, right? The minute you leave like the normal world and
Yeah.
go into the ErzbergRodeo quarry, it's like being on the set of Mad Max.
Yeah,
Like,
really, man. It
like,
is.
the
That's
yeah,
a
when I
perfect
drove in there the
example.
first time, I just stopped the car. So they have scrap cars, like
Yeah.
bangers that everyone just uses to get about.
Wait, they
Like just wrecks, like like people just driving them in all directions. There's at least 4 or 5 helicopters in the air all
Yeah.
the time, right? So the noise is just
What?
doesn't stop. There's motorcycles, quads, trikes, you name it,
Yeah.
going in all directions all the time. There's dust, there's trucks. It's bonkers, isn't it?
It is bonkers.
Yeah, yeah. You've got to
Wow.
go. It's like really cool.
But probably the hardest one was actually when, like you said, when I was like in the finish and vomiting
Yeah.
after the race, because
Oh yeah.
I was like the week before at the World Cup in Leogang, and we partied maybe a little bit. And
Truth's coming out now. He'd had the win. It's okay. We can talk about it now.
yeah, we can talk about it now. I still want it. You know.
It was actually alcohol poisoning.
yeah. That's one of those ones.
Nah, I felt pretty right, but like midweek before the race, I got a bit sick, so I didn't feel too good.
Oh, really?
And I was just like so exhausted. And I remember like Rob just coming up to me, oh, we're like live in 2 minutes. I said, yeah, perfect. And I took my helmet off and I was like, oh my God, I have to like throw up now.
Yeah,
huh?
you're in a bad way.
Yeah. And like, I just literally throw up like 1 meter behind my bike on like live TV. More or
Yeah. I don't know what to do. I'm stood there.
And he was
going,
like, "Man, stop! He's vomiting. We can't go live. We can't
not
go
now.
live."
Don't come to me now.
Yes.
Like, it was literally bent over his
Yeah,
bike.
and then they're like, perfect. Rob, over to you.
Oh, man.
Nah. So that was a pretty hard one. I had like it was funny, because in Austria, sure, there's like tradition to drink like a shot, like a proper schnapps, and we had one laying in the car, like always driving like from the mountain to the apartment, and we always, because I wasn't feeling that good, and like my grandma used to say, just take a shot. It like helps you a little
Sort
bit.
you out.
Yeah, just sorts it out, like kills the virus a little bit. And I literally had every day a shot going down from the mountain. Just like a little one, like just a little sip.
Truth's coming out now.
No, it's really the truth. I probably have to cut this out now.
We've got KTM on the phone.
Well, now I feel like you're giving away your secrets. They're like, this is perfect season.
Exactly.
So
Just follow these rules, guys. You're gonna end up on the high.
Everyone's doing it.
No, but that was probably the hardest moment because I was just so exhausted.
Yeah,
Like I was dead. I was like fully dead after the race.
Yeah.
Do you find sometimes, like that year when we said 4 riders got stuck? I know very often the organisers will put something almost impossible at the end of ErzbergRodeo to try and, I guess, make it a spectacle, bring the riders back together. I imagine for you, though, as the leader, that can be quite frustrating.
It is frustrating.
It's
to
hard
come
for them to
and-
get it right, I'd say.
Yes, because at the end, I think what happened in 2015, like the guys don't want to have it again. So now, because we can't really walk the track, but I think now the track builder is doing a little bit more of a better build of the track, because it should be hard, but it should be rideable,
Yeah.
You don't want to see us like at the end, we are hard enduro riders. We want to ride a bike and not
Lift it.
push or like lift our
Yeah,
bikes around.
yeah.
And it like looks bad on TV if like the best guy in the world has to push their bike up there because it's impossible to ride it, or they have to team up like this year Mario and Graham, they were like 3rd and 4th. They had to team up just to get around this like Rudy bit, and I feel like this is it's on the limit, It is really on the limit where the sport can have been seen, okay, it is so tough, it is so gnarly that like people have to like team up. But at the other side, for us riders, is pretty bad. It is really bad. So it is. I think nowadays they do a way better job with the track, and I hope it's continuing like it is, because it should be a race and not a push.
Agreed. A
push race, more or less.
So Manny, most people don't know this, but you are an insane bike rider. Like I went. It was a couple of years ago now, maybe 22.
Yeah, probably,
we went and rode in Leo Gang.
Yeah.
And
it was so much fun, by the way.
I was riding with you. I was like on my downhill bike, you're on your trail bike. We were riding down this trail, and I was like, oh, this is gonna be fun. And then like a quarter of the way through, I was like, he's going a little bit fast. I'm having to go or whatever, and you're like going over these jumps, like huge scrubs, like whipping it out and stuff like that.
Loves it.
Did you start riding bikes before motocross? Like why are you so good at riding bikes?
I tried to be good. But I started for sure with trials, and like I always had like a trials bicycle there. So I think you learn so much technique about it. And I was always into mountain bike riding, already as a kid. I remember I had like a Kona Stinky 24-inch downhill bike as well, and it was always like more or less my fun sport, which I was always doing on the side. And I think COVID actually brought me even more into mountain bike riding, because we were not traveling so much, and in my area it's pretty difficult to ride moto, so I was just riding mountain bikes. I was riding mountain bikes so much, and I enjoyed it like just unreal how I absolutely loved it,
Yeah.
And we really got into it over the past years, and now I'm more or less also for YT the main e-bike ambassador, which is also pretty sick as well. And Yeah, it's just a good time, you know?
But let's just say just how quick you are, because I remember, I don't know, it was only a couple of years ago in Schladming.
Yeah, I did a time session.
Yeah, the ultimate downhill World Cup track
Oh,
of old, right?
interesting. Yeah.
There was a time session
Yes.
there. All the world's best were there. Manny was there. Where did you slotted right in there, I believe?
I was like mid-pack more or less.
Well, we're
way.
talking like the top 20 downhillers in the world, right?
Yeah, like
Mid-pack. Yeah, the hard enduro lap.
No.
6 hours to 6 minutes.
there were not all the best riders there, you know?
There was a lot though, and you
there
were right
a
in
lot,
there.
though. But I was like quite stoked, you know? Like me, like win Masters, it was his event, you know?
Yeah.
And he just called me, he's like, hey man, you want to come? I'm doing like this time session in Schladming because like there's no racing going on. It would be pretty sick. And I said, yeah, why not? Like we'll be there in like 2 hours more or less. So I got there and it was so much fun. Like it was so cool to be a little bit of a part of it and see where we're at. And I think I really enjoyed it at this moment because we weren't also racing that much, and I couldn't really focus on like something going.
Was that the first time you kind of
more or less,
discovered
yes.
you were that quick then? You'd just been riding around a little bit till then?
Yes, I knew that I'm not the slowest guy. And for example, we had like this Fox at the Park event a couple of times in Leogang, and it turned out that everybody wants to ride with like myself, you know, like Laurie Greenland, Loic back in the days, you know, they're like, I want to really ride with Manny today, you know. I'm like, all right, you guys are the pros, you know. I'm just trying to follow you, you know. And I think nowadays, like the downhill sport definitely increased, and I'm definitely would never qualify for final or semi.
You don't think so?
Everybody's saying, oh man, don't do an e-bike race, because I did the e-bike race on Saturday this weekend. It was nuts how quick they went. Like I started first. I'm not sure why I started first.
You were first out?
I was first out, and Martin Mace, he did the Enduro the day before, and it was the first time he did the e-bikes on Saturday, just to try it out and see if he likes it or not. And he was quickest, and he passed me in 2 stages, and he started like 30 seconds behind me, you know?
Yeah.
It wasn't like 8-minute trails, and I was like, man, I'm really slow. Huh?
I must ask you here what it felt like to get overtaken, because that never happens.
Nah, that never happens, man.
Right, that's rare, man. That must have been a weird feeling seeing someone go by you.
I told Martin before, because he's also such a good mate now. I told him before, man, just scream if I'm in your way, because for myself it was super important just to don't get hurt. You know, I had in my mind, okay, I'm gonna enjoy this race. It's gonna be a cool marketing thing. I'm absolutely gonna love the day like with the guys out there, and it was like such a cool experience again. But I shouldn't get hurt. I don't want to crash. I'm gonna go for my next World Championship run in like more or less a week now. And I want to be healthy. I don't want to have a phone call with my bosses that.
Because to be fair, KTM, they're probably not that keen on you.
Probably
right.
not. No,
Mountain bike
not.
downhill and e-bike world championships. Like, you are paid to be there, and you could hurt yourself quite easily on a bicycle. I mean, it's fair.
It is fair, and that's why I'm trying to like keep it safe. As
we saw him keeping it safe, didn't we, on that video we watched last night?
Well, you did. What did you finish
21st?
21st.
Really
It's pretty. That is
really slow, man.
World,
the video we saw, you jumped
World
load of boots
Enduro.
I don't know if you crashed or not.
No, I saved it. I saved it.
You were on the limit, man. It was the biggest shroud I've ever seen. Oh my god.
Nah, I saved it, and yesterday after the downhill race, everybody just like, oh man, don't do e-bike race, just come to downhill. And I said, guys, you guys are unreal right now. Like this sport in like. Just stepped it up so much. Now. Like,
Would you like to give it a year? Would you like, if you could, put Enduro on a hold, go back exactly where you left off? Would you take 12 months out and have a go at downhill racing or not?
I absolutely love my sport. I really love my sport. I love hard enduro. It would be pretty cool to see where we're at, but I know that I can't go to speed where.
It's very specialized.
It is. It is so specialized right now, and
like what you do.
People are training so hard and they put so much effort in. Like you see, the guys are so strong and like they try. Like for me, it wouldn't take a year to maybe get qualified. You know, I think it would take at least like 5 years. You know, like I think just to like build it up. We could see like Dakota, for example, Norton. You know, he used to be a motocross rider and a motor guy. You know, and I think it also took him a while, but now he's
for sure.
also just killing it and like just top 10s all the time and like even podiums and stuff like this.
Yeah.
And it's like cool to see, but it's not easy to say, hey man, I'm just gonna go there and gonna race and gonna be there with the boys because they are just crushing it, you know?
That's right.
Manny, I would love to know, what does it take what do you do for training? Like, what does that look like?
I ride a lot of mountain bikes.
Yeah.
I ride a lot of mountain bikes for training. But other than that, for sure, over the winter, we did like an indoor season, so SuperEnduro, where Billy was absolutely dominating every
like
race.
Supercross,
more or less.
Of
Supercross kind of the off-road discipline.
Yeah.
We go over rocks and logs, short track. Quite a lot of carnage. Like really, I had a lot of crashes, especially at the
But you've been
beginning
away
of the
from
year.
it a little bit, right? For a couple of years.
Yes, I've been away from it, and last year KTM was asking me if I can come in, and I said, yeah, okay. It was quite hectic because I only had 5 days off after last year's outdoor season.
Wow.
So it was, for me, I was also struggling a little bit, like to get in there again, like find the right bike setup. Then I even switched the bike again, like
Did you?
after 2 races because I was just struggling and I didn't really felt that good. And I was also just tired. I could really feel after the perfect season, like after really like being on a high, I could really feel I need a break. And I was tired. I had no motivation to train. It was really like difficult to get back into the mode.
Is it something you want to get back into, or is the hard enduro outdoor world championship going to remain more your focus?
I think definitely the hard enduro is going to be more my main focus on, but other than that, I think it's really cool to be a part of it. And
well, you're good at it. You still, what were you,
I
third
still
in the
got
world
third in the World
Championship?
Championship, yeah, but-
like, it's a bit more than taking part, to be honest.
Yes, but
But probably for someone who wins outdoor like you do, to sort of, Billy, he's like you,
Yes.
are outdoor, indoor. Let's be
Yes.
honest, he's that good, isn't he?
he's just killing it, and absolutely fair from him because he's one of the craziest, gnarliest riders on earth, like
Yeah.
he does like so much crazy stuff where I'm like,
He's incredible.
man, I'm not going to do it because I'm probably going to get hurt, and
Yeah,
like he
sure.
maybe tries it once. He's like, yeah, I think he can do it every lap. Then he crashes and he like somehow saves it.
Yeah,
like
right.
impossible. And then if I would do it, like just would probably have a big over the bars and get hurt. So yeah, big fair play to him that he's
and
like
you-
killing it so much.
It's mad
in the
because
indoors.
you are really the biggest two rivals. I mean, he came at Getz and he was the only guy that could sort of live with you for
Yeah.
a fair part of that race. But you're also, rivalry aside, you're like best mates, right? You
Yeah,
hang
man.
out all the time. You're blogging all the time.
Yeah, it's been like a good time with him. At the end, we spent so much time as racers, all together. And I think ourselves also, when we didn't race so much after lockdown, we trained quite a bit together. We tested quite a bit together.
Yeah.
And I think we also increased the sport now on a certain level because we pushed each other to like be better and like be fitter.
There's
and
no doubt
probably
you
more.
two have actually driven it. That's right.
Yes.
That's absolutely correct.
Yeah, and it's just a good time, I was at his wedding like this mid-March, and we obviously had a laugh, and it was so cool to be a part of it as well. And I think we just became like really good friends over the years now, and I hope it's gonna be like this because I think in our sport, in the paddock, we have so much respect to each other.
Yeah.
And with some riders, you're like maybe better friends. With some riders, not so, like still all right, because you know that if you crash somewhere in the middle of the woods in Romania, the next guy is probably gonna help you, or like emergencies there is the next rider,
Right,
So I think
right,
that's why
right,
the
yeah.
respect is so high in our sport.
Yeah, because you don't underestimate how dangerous what you're riding is. Some of the stuff you point a bike at and how remote it is. Like, it is a fact, isn't it? That
Yeah,
you
you're
don't want to
just-
be getting in them places.
Nah, you're just in the middle of nowhere, and if really something will happen, the next rider is more or less the first guy who's going to help you.
Yeah.
That's
So, yeah, I think that's why the respect is so much there.
Yeah.
And we're always trying to be super, super respectful to each other. Even while racing, I think everybody is super fair, trying to don't be a sneaky boy, But yeah, other than that, for sure, me and Billy, we became like really good friends now over the years, which is
good
quite
to
cool.
see.
And Manny, I feel like you're probably the most qualified person probably in the world to answer this, but there's always this debate of like how similar is, riding a motorcycle to mountain bikes.
Yes.
And I've always thought that like once you get to a pretty high level, they're almost opposites in some ways, but I like, what do you think about it? Like, how similar are they?
I think from like moto to mountain bike, there is so many things which are similar.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
at the end, we race through off-road terrain, you know, we go over routes, we go over rock sections, we go downhill, you know. I think for myself, from like mountain bike, what I learned from moto, for example, just to keep the flow, you know. I think in mountain bike, you have to keep the flow way more, because in the motorbikes, you can like brake and just open the throttle and you get out of the corner again. But you like open up corners, you like try to like keep the flow, keep the
When
momentum.
you're out on the mountain bike training, and do you kind of relate it to the enduro? And
Definitely.
I mean, you do, right?
Definitely.
You're saying it.
Yeah.
It is probably like 100 kilos heavier my bike than my mountain bike, or like let's say 90 kilos. But
what did you think of Johnny Walker going down the Red Bull
So
hard
cool,
line?
man.
Yes, it was.
So cool.
You up for it?
Sure.
We got it next year.
Well, I feel like you need to ride on your motorcycle and then go and ride on your bicycle.
Oh my
the
God.
first double! Oh my! What have we just invented? Oh, Manny, you got a year prepared.
Yeah, I got a
It's
year
all
to
right.
prepare now.
Yeah.
Still race on the other side and got a year to prepare for hardline. But now, I think there's so many similar things, and it is so cool because I learned so much out of mountain bike into moto, and also moto. I think we're really good with like line scouting, and this is also so important in mountain bike. You know, okay, I have to go over this route that it doesn't kick me on my rear end, and I think in moto and trials, I think it comes from trials, just line scouting, watch the track.
Right.
Okay, you can go up there, you can go down there. So there's a lot of similar things.
Yeah.
I feel that trials relates massively to mountain bike downhill.
Yes.
Like you're stood up, sort of similar sort of travel bike, and again like the motocross. I don't know. It makes you strong, and it definitely gets you. I don't know. I found it definitely out me, but the technique is quite different in it, especially like cornering them and that, I suppose. But
Yeah, that's why
sit into a turn on a motocross bike.
Yeah, like if I am on my motocross bike, I've always thought of like a mountain bike, you're almost pushing away from the handlebars.
Yeah.
And then like on a motorcycle, you're like
That's
trying
really
to pull
true.
yourself.
To pull yourself
Yeah, and then like the
Constantly holding on.
knees as well. Like on a motorcycle, if your knees are loose at all, then like the bike is just everywhere.
Yeah.
And on a mountain bike, like if your knees are tight, like you're going with the bike instead of the bike kind of going underneath you.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But it's so funny because, like you said, if you think about all of the skills that it takes to like pick lines, try to understand like how to carry speed, and just all of that. It's so
Read terrain,
similar.
that
Yeah,
much
read
you do,
terrain.
yes.
Read terrain, and I think, like you said, like I think motocross to mountain bike is even like a further step.
Yeah.
But to our sport is even closer.
Yeah,
you know?
for sure.
Because
for
we
sure.
are
That totally makes
really
sense.
going like downhill. Also, sometimes in Romania we go 30 minutes just downhill.
Crazy.
Like
No
steepest
way.
stuff ever. You know, where
Yeah,
we have to
yeah.
get off the bike because we're just scared to ride it. You know?
Right.
Erzberg, when I walked Erzberg for the
Yeah.
first year, they said they go down this, and I walked over to the edge. I saw two markers. There was no way. It was like vertical. I was like, they're not going to ride down that. It was like, it was
Wow.
absolutely ridiculous. And
Yeah.
you were leading, and he turns around, he points it, and you just rode down it.
Yeah.
And I honestly, I'd never seen, like, you can't, I don't even know, I suppose you're just used to it, but I would never even, I think Jarvis got off down it. It was so gnarly.
Yeah.
You did foot down it, like, on the bike. Crazy, man.
I think I'm pretty good on downhills, but probably also,
That's what we've established there.
but also probably on
Everything's coming together.
Yeah, everything coming together now. Yeah, I ride mountain bikes as well. Yeah, that makes sense, you know. But I think definitely my sport, I'm pretty good in the downhills, and I can really check if it's possible or not. So I'm sometimes riding more than the other guys, where other guys get off, and
Yeah, you do, yeah.
sometimes it just helps. Sometimes it's also quicker just to get off the bike and just like slide next to the bike, like down the hill, because you almost go slower if you would ride it. But yeah, it is wild.
So Manny, as we like kind of wrap up, I wonder, you're so young, you're 26.
Yeah.
But do you have like what you would say is like a defining moment of your career so far? I mean, obviously the perfect season.
Obviously, the perfect season, I would say. It was probably the most hardest year ever. I got so emotional when I got the title. I already got emotional when I was in Canada. It was like the fifth stop, because I knew that we're coming to Red Bull Outliers in Canada, the event, which it's absolutely like this or last year turned out like a really good event and like a lot of spectators. And it is Tristan Hart's home race. You know, he came over for the whole championship. He was second at this point. I know that he was like really keen to win win this race, and I know that he was like really riding good in there as well. So I tried to like be the guy maybe he's gonna win it, but I was also like, if I'm gonna get on the podium for the championship, perfect. I don't care if I'm gonna win it or not. And then literally I won it so close in front of Billy that I was like, how is this possible that we're like keep on winning? You know,
Right.
like you asked me before what I'm thinking. I'm like mid-season through, like if you still win, like I was like, just how is it possible that I'm still in this position to be number one guy out there? And I like didn't cry in front of the camera, but I was like just sat down and like really think about the journey, about like my career, you know, like you really think how cool is it that I'm doing this, and how cool is it that I absolutely love it also, you know?
Yeah.
And
It's amazing to hear you say it, because quite honestly, it just looks like it comes so easy to you at the moment. You know what I mean? Like it does. That is just tribute to your brilliance. But like to hear it just that it is difficult and that it is such a challenge. Of course it is, but like it's mad to hear you say it. Really.
Yeah, there is so many things, you know, as a racer which play maybe in your cards, but maybe don't play in your cards as well. So I think you just have to like keep on grinding your butt off more or less and trying to like really work on it. And I'm not the guy who's like lazy on the couch and just chilling, you know, and go to the races and like, oh yeah, man, it's been an easy day in the office, you know. It's more.
So then what do you train for now? Like what is that big goal on the horizon that you want to achieve in your career now?
Good question, huh? This is a big question where I like question myself at the beginning of the year, where I'm like, okay, for sure we want to like keep on doing what I did last year, because I think there's not really much more to succeed than like winning every race in like a season, but just dominance. But I think it's also pretty difficult to like keep on doing it. And I'm right now, I have no idea, literally.
Yeah.
I am definitely want to stick around the sport much. I want to get a legend. I want to get also the motorbike sport and like get Manuel Lettenbichler as an athlete bigger, let's say in the German industry and like in the German market. Like in our country, like football is such a big thing, you know, and there's so many cool sports which are not really seen.
Yeah.
No,
So
sure.
I think it is cool to bring a cool sport out there. And like, for example, Austria is doing with their ski program now. Vali is doing a really good job in Austria as well. Andy Kolb, like to have like more or less those sports which are a bit on the side to get more commercial, to get it like bigger, to like maybe I'm not sure.
Where you can transcend your sport into and bring, like you said, have Manny be a personality that people know as you, rather than just the kind of niche of your
as an
own
athlete.
sport.
As an athlete. Like it doesn't matter if I'm a motorbike athlete or a mountain bike athlete. Just if people would think, hey, that's Manny Lettenbichler. I know he's like a sports guy, you know? He's a sports guy.
Totally.
And I think we're trying to get there, and I think definitely winning and like having good results helps. But there's nowadays as a
lot
athlete, there's so much add to it. And
you take care of it all, though. To be fair, you do
yeah,
a brilliant
I try
job.
to.
Well,
I
you
try
do.
to.
You do a great job. Yeah.
It's not easy.
Flattering fast.
Flatching fast. Yeah, it goes good. It goes good.
Yeah, Manny, this has been so cool. Thank you so much for coming on. Our first motorcycle rider, first hard enduro rider. It's so cool. So
Good
cool
luck.
to see what you do and the crossover. And a bit annoying how good you are at bikes, but that's all good.
Stoked to be here, and it's been absolutely a pleasure, you know. It's always cool for myself, like I just said, to like cross over into the mountain bike world, and this also helps me as an athlete, you know. Like that's why I'm just doing it also, you know. Like I go into the mountain bike pits now, and everybody's like, hey, guys, he's here and is like, oh man, that's
Yeah.
pretty cool. You know, we
Yeah,
have to
for
talk
sure.
to him. And
Definitely.
I think, things like this are also just pretty cool, and absolutely love the podcast. So just keep on doing it and have some fun like you guys always do. And
You just keep winning, Manny.
I just keep winning.
man.
You
That's what we want.
guys gonna keep on talk some cool
We'll
shit,
keep talking. You keep winning.
and then we're good.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, and we'll talk to you soon.
Cheers, man.